This podcast is brought to you by Emote Projects Limited. The podcast is for educational purposes only. Seek professional advice to get specific help for your project. Enjoy this week's show. Welcome to an Architect and a DJ Build a Home podcast. I'm the architect. Today the DJ is not with me, but I'm not alone. Say hi.
Hi. I feel like I'm saying hi on behalf of the DJ.
Yes, she's taking the place of the DJ. So today we are in Kamona and Ruth's home.
Yes.
They have invited us because we love visiting people's houses, and today we are visiting here.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us on your show.
We're so happy to have you.
Yeah.
I'm speaking on behalf of the DJ. So we'll get right into it and just hear about your journey to build your own home.
Yeah.
So perhaps you share a lot on social media. You shared a lot about your journey, but perhaps for people who don't know you and who don't know what it is that you shared, maybe you can just give a summary of what it is that you're doing here.
Okay. You're beauty our home.
That's so funny.
Okay, so on Instagram, I think that's where I share most because it's the first house.
Yeah.
And it was even impulsive. It wasn't even like we planned that we're going to share the process of building our own home.
Yeah.
But it was just the struggles, I think, just like the whole process of getting to owning your own home, and then the whole thing is that you go through. So when we moved here 3 years ago.
Yeah.
We're just like, it wasn't even we, it was me. I was just like, let me open this so that I can just be documenting of how it looks like, because it was, horse dates and looking at what would the before look like and what would the after look like, and then what would the process be in between. Yeah, so that is basically the journey of the first house.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first house you can follow on Instagram, and we'll share details that you can see the story.
Which content these days, but
whatever is there, you can still find.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what made you decide that this was a journey that was right for you?
What do you mean, right?
Like,
for me? Let me just qualify that.
Like what made you decide that you needed to build your own home in order to accommodate your family? Because building is not an easy journey to take.
No. I kind of feel like it's romanticized, to be honest. I feel like people tell you to build houses, right?
Yeah.
But then they just never tell you, like, this is how it will be. And it's just, it's the Zambian dream, guys. Like, you go to school, you finish, you get a job, and then you build flats. And then afterwards, you build your dream home. Yeah. And I think that was it for us. So we bought our property before we got married, I think like a year before. And we knew that we were going to build, and it was going to be flats. Yeah. And so even when we're doing like the planning of it, we were looking at where we were staying just after we got married, and then we'll be like, okay, maybe to be like this and like this. Yeah. And a year into being married, we even moved to a different town. So it was even justified why we have flats, right? Yeah. And then as life would have it, sometimes you want to do stuff and you plan, but then like your plans along the way just get derailed. So we moved back, and then we're like, okay, we're still renting, but because now we're back in Lusaka, maybe we should complete our flats. And that's what we started doing. Eventually we looked at our finances, and it was hectic. Now we have 2 kids, and then you have school fees, and then you have rent, and then you have lifestyle. And basically like you just gotta like have all this costs, and then I had just started my business, and like a lot of money was going into that also. So we thought, I think let's just move so that we can eliminate the biggest bill, which was rent. Yeah. Yeah. And that seems to be the motivating factor for a lot of people. Yes. It's rent. It's like, how can we make extra money? So now
you've taken this journey, you've been on it for a couple of years. What stage are you at right now?
Okay, so we moved into our house, I think it was like July 2020, the COVID year.
Yeah.
And so so now it's happening like two ways, because like my job is unfolding into the space which is very interior related, and then move into our space. And I think maybe that could have also been a motivation of how I wanted my house to transition, because then like I'm more knowledgeable around how a space should be occupied. And so I think we started giving ourselves a lot of permission with how we wanted to live, and not necessarily how the status quo is, because you're told to get married, and then like when you get married, a lot of advice is like live in a small house, you know what I mean? And then when the family starts growing, then you can move from like a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom into a 3-bedroom house and everything. And it's very structural in a sense. It's unwritten, but it's like it's structural on how you should progress.
That you have to follow,
right?
And it's in the wind, and all of us know that.
Everyone know, like this is how you live and everything. So when I started reading more like around design, around designers, around architecture, and just about how you honor your home and then how your space should feel like, we started having conversations of how do we want our space to feel like. And the number one for me was like, as my kids were growing, they would ride around the house. And I felt like if we have people who are renting in the other house, it would be, your kids are always running around my house. Can you control your kids? Can you do all those things? And then we have dogs, right? And then it'll be like, your dog was here and whatever. And I started asking myself, like, is that the experience that I want to have in my very first house? Because I wanted to feel like my space. So me and Kamona started having like a lot of back and forth. Like, should we break walls? Shouldn't we break walls? What should we do? And interesting, it would be like, in the season when I'm like, let's break walls, he'd be like, okay, like we can always build our house like later on. And then in the season that is like, you know what, let's just break it. And I'm like, are you sure? So it took us a while, but we started making changes in the half where we were staying already. We're just like, okay, we like the windows, but maybe like, can we have them higher? We like the space, can we turn it into this? And also then we started like playing around with like the tiling. We had done like initial tiling, and we're like, maybe we don't like it like this, and we're like, we want more air, should we break this? And then we're like, you know what, if we're just breaking on this part, we might as well just break the entire house. And with that, we started looking at like, how do I want to feel like when I'm outside? How do I want to feel like when I'm hosting my friends? How do I want to feel like when it's just us, but then like we want to be in different spaces? So like when we're all sitting together as a family, how do we want to sit? When we want to sit outside, how do we want to sit? When we're in the kitchen, how do we want to feel, right? When are the days when we spend time in the kitchen? How does that work? Like, when are the days when we sit outside? How does that work? How does it work like Monday to Friday? And how do weekends feel? And just like when you drive in, like what are the things that you want to be able to do? And we let that then start dictate how we wanted the entire space to be.
It sounds like you spent a lot of time together thinking about the process. And you've not done this on your own. Unfortunately, Kamona couldn't be with us. But perhaps you could share insights on how is that journey like? How has it been for you together? What came out from that, as in how your personalities played in the process, who was doing what, and
So from the beginning, I think we've been together in the entire process, like from the purchase of land to the drawings, like the hand drawings that we were doing, to the choice of architect, not so much because we used the family architect, like the architect that his uncle and his sister used. So we're just like, this is where we're gonna go. For the very first initial ones. And so even when the build when we're breaking ground, there's a lot of him and our uncle. And I think I never used to come to site, but then like I would walk through the plans and everything. But it wasn't even like walking through the plans to feel the space. More like, is this what we had drawn versus what the architect has drawn? And then even like when it would reach like, okay, now it's window level, it would be like, okay, do we have money? Where are we getting money from? What does this look like? When are we going to finish? And most of the times, like, we have hopes of like it to finish in the next 6 months. But then then the readers will tell you like this is how much is needed, and then it's a whole thing. But we've done it together. Like a lot of it has been done together. I think what has changed is we have been becoming different people as we have been growing. So like both of us are evolving. I'm really quick to adapting stuff. My husband not so much. And so it's always a thing of having to get him into this zone where he can clearly see something. Because I'll just be like, I like this and let's go with it.
Let's go.
Yes. But what started helping us, especially with like introducing new spaces and new features which are not the Zambian way of doing things, that we started watching grand designs together. And that would be like, oh, you didn't actually do this. Oh my God, that looks amazing. And watching him do that, I think for me, I was a step further because like it's part of my work. So like I understand when people tell me like I want this and then I want this, even like when you look at other designers elsewhere in the work they've done, or other people who have created and curated their own spaces. But for him, it was like having to allow him to see that even his
You
space
have to
can
give him
look like that. Give
the
him
space to.
yeah, but now he's charged, guys. Like, come down, because he'll come and he'll be like, I think we should do this, babe. What do you think? And it's like, come down, like come down. But I think it's been such a learning experience for us, and just seeing us dream bigger together. And what is that? Immeasurable? Whatever the word is, like incomparable or whatever it is. But like it's amazing.
So you've spoken about how in your professional space you deal with this. You've got clients where you're dealing with interiors. I'm curious to know how that affected the process for your own house, because doing that for other people is much easier than yourself. How has having that knowledge and growing in that space, how has that influenced what has happened here at home?
I think the pressure sometimes becomes that you have to have a space that shows that you are in the design business. And so you can easily lose yourself in thinking like, guys, I need to have it, like when people see my house so that they can trust, like it needs to be some type of way, and just be like, no, because, but I think I know myself well. So I have days when I'm just like, when Ruth, like you're losing, like come back. But I'm also quite rebellious. So I'm rebellious in the way I do things, in the way that I manage stuff, and I just decide that I want to be my own person. And so like even just taking the time of completion, like for our house, I think at some point I was just like, if people see that we're taking years to complete, what I mean? Like, how does that translate into? But then it was just like, this is us. This is where we are, and these are the things that we want for our home. And so when I go to work, I go to work. And then when I come home, I come home. But sometimes it can be quite frustrating, especially on budget side, where you're looking and you're thinking, I have this client and they have a ready budget. And then, like, in 2-3 months, their project is complete, and whilst yours is dragging, and then you're just feeling like, am I, and whatever. So I think allowing ourselves to be okay with the stage that we're at, financially, just emotionally, and also just like thought-wise around like, this is what we want for our house. And also I'm a major believer of like a house should be collected. So it shouldn't be like everything you just go into the store and everything. Like it should feel like, oh my God, this is the most amazing piece, and then I'll have it here. And being okay with growing.
Having that happen over time.
Over time,
And it's interesting you say that, because you have a unique style, and like you said when you were talking about like watching grand designs and getting inspiration that's not necessarily what you see all the time here. And your style, would I say it's eclectic, it's rustic?
Yes. That very not modern.
Yes.
Very not modern.
What informs that?
I just like things that I like.
Yeah.
I think like that's just I like things that I like.
Yeah.
And Kamana has gotten into that space of allowing himself to like things that he likes.
Yeah.
And with that, we're coming to a space where we're like, how does this fit into who we are, right? So, and who we are would be like, we like to sit outside and drink wine.
Yeah.
Does this fit into who we want to be? When we sit, we want to sit up and fold our legs, right?
Yeah.
It's more, I think like what drives us is more of how we feel and want to feel in a space, more than what is trending, more than what will look great.
Yeah.
It's just like we want to come home to home.
Yeah.
So it should be comfortable, it should be fun, but then also it should be a different experience every time.
Yeah.
Like, so, like in the choice of our pictures, in the choice of the art we'll hang on the wall, in the choice of the things that we do, we look at it and we're like, in 6 months, will I feel great about it? In 2 years, will I feel great about it? Or when I don't feel great about it anymore, am I okay enough to be like, okay, let's cut it let's remove it? Yeah.
So the building process, what has been a high point for you? What has been the low point? And what has surprised you?
I think surprised is the fact that we're breaking walls because we never saw it. On 4th July, when we moved, we never saw that we'd be doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
That is a major surprise. The high has been the fact that we can allow ourselves to actually want stuff.
Yeah.
And be okay regardless of the price point.
Yeah.
And be able to plan for it. So like now we're very unapologetic about stuff. We'll be like one big windows. My aunt, my uncle, my grandfather can say whatever they want to say. We'll be like, this is our house. So mind your business in your own house. And we're just like that. So not here. Not here. So like we're very sure we're just like, this is our house.
Yeah.
And I really love that about me and Kamona, because like once we make a choice, it's our choice. So that's been high. The low has been the fact that it is a lot to work with contractors and vendors and whatnot. It's just been like, guys, like, let's just like get away from the fact of you know how to do something and listen to me so that I can tell you how I want. Like, that is a pain. That is like a major pain. Yeah. And just the financial cost to it. It's like being okay with delayed gratification.
Yes. Character building.
I tell you, and when you're building yourself, like it can easily go the other way, right? Like you can easily settle. You'll just be like, I don't like this, but it's fine. I'll live with it. And us, and then like me, my eyes, the sis stuff, and I'm just like, no, I'm not okay with this. So no, I mean, I'm not okay with this. No, let's break it. Let's whatever. Yeah.
What advice would you have for people who are building, people who are thinking about it, and they want to take the journey that you've taken to create a home for their families? What advice would you have from your experience?
I think like building a house is like more like discovering who you are. And so like being quite honest with yourself. We build a lot of homes based on what's happening with abundance and everything. So like I think like just being honest with yourself in every aspect of how we live, right? It doesn't make sense having like a 16-bedroom house if you know you spend all your time in your dining. You know what I mean? Like just be okay with who you are and let that inform every decision that you make around your building. I think like read. I know it's a bit difficult, but like just like do a mood board or a vision board for your house. Like just sit and be like, it would be nice to have paint like this, like look for pictures and like, oh, how does this look like? It would be nice to be in a living room like this, and then like get pictures, like have a visual. And also I think like functionality of the space is key. Like just ask yourself, how are we going to move in this space, right? Like,
imagine yourself there. Take the time
and not alone. Like, imagine how it would be if there's a funeral. Imagine how it would be, especially like we're in an African context. Like, imagine how it would be if there's a wedding. Imagine how it is like when you have all your friends coming in and all their kids coming. Imagine how it would be when it's all just only you. Like, just think of all the scenarios and then let that basically translate. And also look at the time frame of how long you want to live into that space. Just enjoy.
Yes, enjoy it. Because you're creating something that's special for you. So there has to be that. So since we don't have the DJ here, we can still do something to honor his space. Before we go, I'd like to ask you, what music have you been listening to this past week? What's it been like?
Okay. Everything and anything. I don't have a particular sense of music I listen to. I listen to music the way I feel like, right? Like in the morning. Sometimes it would be, I remember I was listening to The Temptations, I think Lady Love, because it was Saturday in the morning and then Panji and Phoenix played Lady Love and I'd never listened to it before and it became a favorite for me. And then so I haven't listened to Lady Love this week. Maybe I'll listen to it today. But then this week I've listened to Your Maps because I was on Facebook and then I think you was in the UK or something. And then a song played and I said, oh, let me listen to that. I've listened to Rumba. My husband has been laughing at me and said, what's up?
What's going on?
I listened to Backstreet Boys.
Okay.
Yes, it's like everything. And then the other day I was looking for a country song. Can't remember what it was. But then like me, I'll go everywhere and anywhere.
So from your playlist, what one song would you recommend?
I play Lady Love one day.
Lady Love. Lady Love by The Temptations. Put that on your playlist. Ruth, thank you so much for being my guest. It's been fun.
It really has.
Yes.
It really has.
Thank you, and we will see you soon. An Architect and a DJ Build a Home podcast has been brought to you by Emote Projects Limited. The show is hosted by Kalenga, he's the DJ, and me, Mpangela, I'm the architect. Media by Monkey Business Agency. Music by Bless the Creative.